आप चाहते थे कि जान के बदले जान ली जाए, यानी कि फांसी की सजा दी जाए। हालांकि कोर्ट की तरफ से कहा गया है कि आजीवन कारावास। आप संतुष्ट हैं इस फैसले से?
इसमें संतुष्ट नहीं है, क्योंकि जिस तरह से उन्होंने मेरे निर्दोष लड़की को मारा है और जो है कि आज जो सुनाई वहाँ पे अंतिम फैसला आया कि आजीवन कारावास, लेकिन हम पहले से शुरू से कह रहे थे कि भाई मौत के बदले मौत, तो हमारे जीते जी इनको फांसी होनी चाहिए थी। दूसरा ये कि जो जिस तरह से रेनोवेशन रिजल्ट तोड़ाया, सबूतों को नष्ट किया, सरकार द्वारा दबाव डाला गया, हमारे वकीलों भी दबाव डाला गया। और मैंने एक बार यहाँ एक ज्ञापन भी दिया था कि रेनोवेशन के कोर्ट के सामने बयान लिया जाए, लेकिन वो ज्ञापन भी खारिज किया गया। और उसमें अजय कुमार जो वीआईपी था उसका नाम भी उजागर नहीं हुआ। तो ये चीज़ें थी।
अभी मतलब आपका कहना है कि बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो बच गए हैं?
हाँ, बहुत सारे जो लोग हैं वो बच गए हैं। तो ये चीज़ ये भी आनी चाहिए थी इसमें, केस में ये भी आनी चाहिए, ये भी नहीं छोड़ने चाहिए थे, क्योंकि मेन सबूतों को इन्होंने जानबूझ के दबाने की कोशिश किया और रिजल्ट को तोड़ा।
उत्तराखंड के लोग पूरी तरीके से आपके साथ खड़े रहे हैं, उन लोगों से कोई अपील? बिल्कुल,
मैं वही कह रहा हूँ कि मैं अगर उत्तराखंड की जनता अगर मेरे साथ न देती तो मेरे बच्चे जो वहाँ पे जो इन्होंने नहर में धकेली थी वो भी शायद नहीं मिलती मुझे।
भावुक थे आप इस फैसले के बाद?
हाँ, इस फैसले से था कि भाई जनता ने पूरा सहयोग दिया मुझे।
अच्छा, अभी आप तैयारी कर रहे हैं हाई कोर्ट या सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाने की भी?
तो जाएंगे हम।
Breaking news that's coming in right now. 3 villagers have been seriously injured in the IED blast in Chhattisgarh's Bijapur district. The blast occurred between 8:30 and 9 a.m. today when some villagers, residents of Eragufapara, were on their way to Bandepara for some family work. The explosives hidden by Maoists caused severe injuries to their legs and their faces. The breaking news that's coming in, the details of the injured is also there. It's a cowardly act of the Maoists that we are seeing now in Maoist planted an IED blast in Chhattisgarh's Bijapur. And 3 villagers were seriously injured due to the blast out of the pressure IED planted by the Maoists. We have details of the villagers. We're going to also give you details. On receiving the information, an ambulance had been dispatched to the spot for proper treatment of the injured villagers. More details coming in of the villagers who have been injured. They all had injuries on their legs and faces due to the blast of pressure IED that had been planted. These villagers were on their way for some family work around 8:30 to 9 a.m. today. These villagers suffered injuries in Chhattisgarh. Let me go across to Bharat joining us from Bijapur. Bharat, आपने देखा है किस तरीके से ये लोग घायल हुए थे, डिटेल्स दी थी, क्या हुआ था आज और क्या इनको किस तरीके से अभी ट्रीटमेंट मिल रही है?
देखिए, बिल्कुल मैं आपको बता दूं कि देश के गृह मंत्री ने जो डेडलाइन तय किया है 31 मार्च 2026 तक माओवाद समाप्त किया जाएगा, जिसके तर्ज पे जिस तरीके से ऑपरेशन चलाए जा रहे हैं। आप देख रहे हैं कि भोपालपट्टनम ब्लॉक के ग्राम जो दमपैया कहा जाता है, दमपैया इलाके पे जो ग्रामीण है, उस इलाके के ग्रामीण रहने वाले हैं, वो निकले हुए थे। ऐसे में बंदेपारा कुछ कार्य थे, वो जा रहे थे। उस दरमियान जो आईडी के जो जद में है वो ग्रामीण आ जाते हैं। एंटी नक्सल ऑपरेशन चलाए जा रहे हैं, जिस ऑपरेशन के तर्ज पे जो माओवादी बैकफुट पे नजर आ रहे हैं। आप देख रहे हैं कि किस तरीके से ऑपरेशन चलाए जा रहे हैं। बस्तर आदिवासी बहुल क्षेत्र है और बस्तर कई वर्षों से आंतरिक समस्याओं से जूझ रहा है। नक्सलवाद एक बड़ी समस्या है, जिसके तर्ज पे अलग अलग इलाकों पे, बीजापुर के अलग अलग इलाकों पे कुछ दिन पहले केजी यानी कर्रेगुट्टा में किस तरीके से ऑपरेशन चलाया गया था, उसके बाद अबूजमान में सबसे बड़ा ऑपरेशन चलाया गया था। ऐसे में नक्सलियों की जो कमर है वो टूटते जा रही है। ऐसे में नक्सली जो है वो अब आईडी का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं। प्रेशर आईडी यानी प्रेशर आईडी वो होता है जिस पर पैर रखते ही ब्लास्ट हो जाता है। ऐसे में बीजापुर आदिवासी बहुल क्षेत्र है और यहाँ के अधिकांश जो लोग हैं, गर्मी का महीना है, इस वक्त लोग है वो आम हो या फिर जो मोआ हो या फिर तोरा हो, वनस्पति हो या फिर प्राकृतिक वन संपदाओं हो, इस पर वो इनकी जीविका जो है टिकी हुई रहती है। यही वजह है कि वो जंगल की ओर निकलते हैं या फिर अधिकांश जो समय है ग्रामीण अंचल के जो लोग हैं वो प्राकृतिक के इर्द गिर्द पे रहते हैं। ऐसे में बंदेपारा वो निकले हुए थे, दमपैया के वो रहने वाले। उसी दरमियान जब बंदेपारा वो निकले हुए थे, कुछ कार्य थे, उसी दरमियान प्रेशर आईडी की जद में वो आने से
थैंक यू
ग्रामीण जो है वो पूरी तरह से जख्मी हो चुके हैं।
थैंक यू भारत, आपने हमें वो डिटेल्स दी। दिस इज द टॉप फोकस, विल कंटिन्यू ट्रैकिंग। And breaking news coming in, there is massive outrage in Karnataka after actor Kamill Hassan sparked controversy by saying that the Kannada language is born out of Tamil. There were multiple statements from across political parties condemning the remark, but now there are fresh protests that have also broken out. Pro-Kannada activists gathered at Freedom Park to protest against actor. They raised slogans calling for Kamill Hassan to be expelled from Karnataka. Let me also give you another reaction of Kamill Hassan that had come in, where today, once again, he refuses to apologize.
And I believe in law and justice, and I believe always love will triumph. And my love for Karnataka is true. My love for Andhra is true. My love for Kerala is true. So nobody will suspect it except those with an agenda. Been threatened before, and if I am wrong, I will apologize. If I'm not, I won't. It's my lifestyle. Please don't tamper with it.
This is yet another incident of road rage and a minor and a 19-year-old driving intoxicated. 2 people lose their lives. And 3 people, including a pregnant woman and child, received injuries after a 19-year-old driver lost control of the car, hitting bicycle riders and the juggy. The police said the accused was under the influence of alcohol. The accused, Harsh, was driving the car. His friend was sitting with him. They were coming from Gurugram after attending some program. They were roaming around looking for a dhaba. At the place of the incident, he failed to control the vehicle due to overspeeding and intoxication. That visual of the drunk teen clearly shows how intoxicated he was. On medical examination, he was found to be under the influence of alcohol. My colleague Akil earlier spoke to the people at the spot. What is shocking about this is a pregnant woman has been hit. I want to go across to my colleague who's been reporting on the story. And I want to stay with that visual as I wait for Akil to join us. Viewers, the incident reported yesterday, but this drunk teen has been nabbed, and this is yet another tale. The punishment for drinking, driving and negligence needs to be heightened up. It's not the first, but one of the many incidents that we are seeing of these spoiled brats on their drinking splendor. All right, we'll go across to Haki later where he's trying to collect more information on the story. But to the other big news that we've been tracking, several rains have triggered massive landslides. In Guwahati, we have seen several parts of Guwahati have been inundated by heavy rains. While the more normal life had been disrupted, authorities have also said they've tried to pump out the water from these areas. Take a look.
Incessant rain in the last 48 hours have completely inundated several locations across Guwahati. Right now we are reporting from Anilnagar area in the heart of the city, and here also you can see how the waters have completely inundated the entire area. Movement of the locals have been completely disrupted. Vehicles cannot ply on this road anymore. This is not the only location where floodwaters have completely inundated the area in Guwahati, but across the city in several locations, traffic movement have been completely disrupted as several roads have been totally submerged by the floodwaters following incessant rain for the last over 48 hours, and it is still heavy rain going on. As right now we are showing you from the Anilnagar area, and here also the efforts are on by the district administration to pump out the water from the area towards Brahmaputra through the Boradu river, and heavy duty pumps are being operated out here. You can see these heavy duty pumps pumping out several liters of water, but as far as the drains are concerned, all the drains have been completely clogged because of the floodwaters, and as a result the entire area have been completely submerged. Roads disrupting vehicular movement, and inside the city also in several locations vehicular movement have been completely disrupted. efforts are on. SGRF have been deployed in several areas. In some areas, SGRF also had to deploy rubber boats in order to help the locals commute to the other parts of the city.
Viewers, this seems like a movie right out of a disaster movie, but this is all too real. A Swiss village has been wiped away by a glacier, the Bitch Glacier. A scene straight out of a disaster movie unfolded in the Alps. Unfortunately, all too real. The Birch Glacier didn't just crack, it collapsed onto the village of Blatten. 10 million tons of ice, rocks and mud cascaded down from the peak, literally burying the settlement. Of the 300 villagers, most managed to evacuate after experts issued advance warnings. However, one person is missing. 90% of the buildings have been destroyed.
Hi, this is Chef Ranveer Brar. Guarantee you brilliance on behalf of IIHM.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
I don't just report from courtrooms on verdicts, I decode them. From breaking news to complex legal verdicts, every word is backed by law. At the Republic School of Journalism, you will learn how to report on legal issues with accuracy and speed. The RSJ Diploma, starting on the 30th of June. Apply now.
I have seen it, what it takes to report from the front lines. Accuracy, urgency, courage, responsibilities. At Republic School of Journalism, you'll be trained for that reality. It's not theory, it's live learning inside a working newsroom from the day one. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most, RSJ is where you begin. Course begins on June 30th. Apply now.
विमल में गुलिस्तां की ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की इस जुबान में खुद को ऐसा डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं ना? विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
I have seen what it takes to report from the front lines. Accuracy, courage, urgency and responsibility. At Republic School of Journalism, you will be trained for that reality. It is not theory. It is live learning from inside a working newsroom from day one. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most, Republic School of Journalism is where you begin. Course begins on the 30th of June. Apply now.
I have seen what it takes to report from the front line. Accuracy, urgency, courage, and responsibility. At Republic School of Journalism, you will be trained for all that reality. It's not theory, it's life.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello
everyone, welcome. You're watching 6 Stories at 6 with me, Tanisha Awasthi. A lot of stories have made headlines today. Let's take you through the top 6 stories of the day. Rajnath Singh, who is on board INS Vikrant, has sent a stern message to Pakistan. He says any future act of terror will now be dealt with an answer from the Navy this time. Meanwhile, Amit Shah was in Poonch in Jammu and Kashmir today, where he visited the Gurudwara that was hit by the Pakistan. We will get you all details on where did he go and who did he meet. In Odisha, meanwhile, the anti-corruption raid has gone completely wild. This after the man accused of corruption was seen throwing cash out of his balcony. In other news, in the national capital, there has been an incident of a road rage. It was so fatal that 2 people were killed, 3 were injured, and this as a teen rammed his car into the hut after knocking down the cyclist. There are extremely gut-wrenching visuals on that. And now, moving on, we will also tell you about the politics that has erupted over Operation Sindoor once again, and this time again by the Congress party, where it is Revant Reddy who has questioned the Modi government over how many Rafale jets did the Pakistan shoot down. And yes, finally, controversy's favorite child, Hassan, has remained defiant and has refused to apologize after he triggered a row when he said that Kannada was born out of Tamil Nadu. So these are the 6 stories that we have lined up for you. Starting up with the top story. Ladies and gentlemen, we start this edition with the top story that is the most telling picture of the day. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh today boarded the Indian Navy's indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, where he addressed the officers and crew, praising their dedication and strength. Now, it was during the interaction with the naval personnel on board the INS Vikrant of Goa, he said and issued a very stern warning to Pakistan, saying that India will not hesitate to use the methods to deal with terrorism that Pakistan cannot even think of. Now, remember, Rajnath Singh's visit comes at a time when India continues to assert its role as a key maritime power amid growing strategic interest in the Indian Ocean. Let's first take a look on why Rajnath's visit to INS Vikrant is of prime significance. And here's the power of INS Vikrant. Now, remember, this carrier is responsible as it carried forward deployment to the North Arabian Sea, and this is during the time of Operation Sindoor. INS Vikrant comprised of 8 to 10 warships that were ready, remember, and had locked the Karachi port already. Now, on board INS Vikrant, destroyers and Seath-guided missile frigates were also present. So it was all set. The Navy was all set to respond to Pakistan. Now, powerful battle unit when its carrier battle group that was also present. Meanwhile, forward deployment stopped from Pakistan leaving Karachi port. Remember when we talked about Operation Sindoor during Republic's coverage of Operation Sindoor, we broke that news to you about how Indian Navy had locked the Karachi port. It was already all set. However, this mighty carrier, INS Vikrant, stopped Pakistan from proceeding even an inch forward. Here is what Rajnath had to say on board INS Vikrant.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के दौरान भारतीय नौसेना ने अपनी साइलेंट सर्विस से हर भारतवासी को प्रभावित किया है। खामोश रहकर भी भारतीय सेना ने पाकिस्तानी सेना को बांध कर रखने में कामयाबी हासिल की है। जरा सोचिए, जो खामोश रहकर भी किसी देश की फौज को बोतल में बंद कर सकता है, वह जब बोलेगा तो उसका नजारा क्या होगा, इसकी आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं। इस बार तो पाकिस्तान को भारतीय नौसेना की फायर पावर का सामना नहीं करना पड़ा, मगर दुनिया जानती है अगर पाकिस्तान ने इस बार कोई नापाक हरकत की तो हो सकता है कि इस बार की ओपनिंग और किसी के द्वारा ना हो, हमारी नेवी के द्वारा होगी।
Moving on, in a powerful visit to a place of faith that faced fire, Union Home Minister Amit Shah today reached Poonch Singh Sahab Gurudwara that was shelled by Pakistan on the 8th of May. Now, from offering prayers to meeting the victims, Amit Shah's message was firm and was amply clear. India stands with its people and will not tolerate attacks on civilians or sacred sites.
It was targeted, shelled and scarred. On May 8th, Pakistan launched a cowardly and indiscriminate attack, shelling civilian areas, religious sites and homes. This Gurdwara was among the structures hit. The sanctum was shaken.
This is a place, and how much this the shelling was, how intensified this shelling was. Sabar ji, ye
ये पड़ा हाँ ये पड़ा था हम वहाँ रहते नीचे रहते हैं हमारा घर नीचे है हाँ बस यहाँ पड़ा गोला आकर यहाँ पड़ा पूरे अपनी डस्ट हो गई थी पूरे इलाके में.
And today, that very Gurdwara, once marked by destruction, welcomed the Union Home Minister with renewed hope. Amit Shah visited the site, bowed his head and saluted the spirit of people who refuse to be broken. He also visited areas worst hit by the Pakistani shelling in Jammu and Kashmir's Poonch, meeting victims, hearing their stories and standing in solidarity. From shattered walls to strength, this Gurdwara now tells the story of a community that stood firm. The Union Home Minister called out Pakistan's targeted attacks on religious institutions and also spoke about how Poonch has bore the brunt of Pak shell.
पूंछ में शायद आजादी के बाद पहली बार गोली मारी, मगर पूंछ के साथ साथ सभी जगह पे रिहायशी इलाकों पर, गुरुद्वारों पर, मंदिरों पर, मदरसों पर गोलीबारी करने का काम पाकिस्तान ने किया.
However, the Union Home Minister also added that the Indian Armed Forces gave a befitting response to Pakistan.
और जब पाकिस्तान ने हमारे रिहायशी इलाकों पर, नागरिकों पर, निहत्थे नागरिकों पर हमला किया, तब भारतीय सेना ने इसका भी सटीक जवाब दिया और उनके 9 हवाई अड्डों को, उनकी मारक क्षमता को क्षतिग्रस्त कर एक मजबूत जवाब दिया, जिसके कारण उनको समझौते के लिए आगे आना पड़ा.
Reaffirming India's position, he said Pakistan was warned that India will not tolerate attack on civilians or religious structures.
कि भारत के नागरिकों पर, भारत के निर्दोष व्यक्तियों पर, भारत की सेना पर और भारत की सीमा पर किसी भी प्रकार का अतिक्रमण भारत सहन नहीं करेगा. किसी भी प्रकार का आक्रमण भारत सहन नहीं करेगा. इसका सटीक और इससे भी बुलंद जवाब दिया जाएगा.
During his visit, the Union Home Minister also distributed appointment letters to the kin of the deceased. He also interacted with the BSF personnel at the unit headquarters in Karnataka, while also praising their role in Operation Sindoor. Shah visited religious sites damaged in the shelling and reviewed the security situation ahead of the Amarnath Yatra. But the message from Shah is clear. If Pakistan resorts to aggression by targeting religious sites, then India will go all out and unleash its full military might.
Moving on to the other story that we're tracking, and this one is from the state of Odisha. It what looked like the most dramatic anti-corruption raid. The Odisha vigilance officials seized unaccounted cash. Now this was worth over rupees 2.1 crore. Now this was done during searches at multiple locations that was linked to a chief engineer rural works department that is in Bhubaneswar. Yes, he was a government employee. So the question really now that is being raised is how did he manage to collect such an exorbitant amount? The raids were carried out following allegations of possession of disproportionate assets. Now during the operation, Sarangi, the chief engineer that we're talking about here, attempted to dispose of the cash by throwing bundles of 500 notes out of the window. And this was from his flat in Bhubaneswar. On seeing the vigilance officers, the chief engineer threw cash bundles of rupees 500 notes through the window of his flat. The same was recovered in the presence of witnesses by the search team of the vigilance. So these visuals remain completely dramatic, because what we're talking about here is that the case of a government employee who has unaccounted 2.1 crore cash. And not just that, the most dramatic visual of the day was when he was throwing the bundle of 500 notes out of his window to escape the vigilance department. On that note, I'm being joined by our reporter Chandan, who is reporting live from Bhubaneswar. Chandan, bataiye hame, tell us about how did this cash come from? Where was this unaccounted cash discovered exactly? And what are the probe details so far in the case?
Today, Odisha Vigilance conducted a raid against the chief engineer, Backlash Sarangi, and Vigilance official retrieved 37 lakhs from the neighboring room. Further success at his flat and another property in Angul district, and led to the total cash recovery is till the time 2.51 crores from the Sarangi's house, Angul and Bhubaneswar. In this case, also, Vigilance Director said that 1.3 crores from his property at Angul and 1.2 crores from the house of Sarangi's house from Bhubaneswar flat. Also, 37 lakhs cash that he threw his neighbor's roof. Also found that invested in 2.7 crores in share market also. Also 1.5 crore in bank deposits also found in Vigilance team. Also, search is continuing. The interesting chapter was that the 37 lakhs was going by Panigai to neighboring group, and Vigilance, whereas the Vigilance team fully monitored that amount and recovered from neighboring group, and also seized that money, and also the search was continuing. The DA cases was almost all approximately is just a two-story building and 2 numbers of flat, and also 7 numbers of high-value plot was found. So that the DA cases against the chief engineer Vaikunath Panigrahi was continuing. The further report will be submitted by Vigilance. Will the more wealth and more money will be found by Vigilance. The Vigilance Director Jaswant Jetha also informed that.
Right, Chandan, thank you very much for sharing those details. We will keep coming back to you as and when there are more updates on that story. For now, we move on to the other stories that we're tracking. Now, hours after a speeding car crashed into a slum in West Delhi's area, a group of Juggi dwellers gathered in the area to recall the horror that they had seen and witnessed and that had unfolded. Now, Phul Singh, a grindstone maker and a seller, was one of the 2 people who was killed when a 19-year-old boy allegedly rammed his car into 2 cyclists, and this was around 3:30 a.m. And then he crashed into the vehicle into his hut on the roadside. The police said that the teen had been apprehended. Now, the incident was reported, remember, at 3:30 a.m. from West Delhi area. Now, upon receiving the PCR call, police rushed to the spot and took the injured to the hospital. The boy who was responsible behind the wheel, who was driving and who was responsible for the accident, has already been taken into police custody. Joining me live on that story is my colleague Akhil from the National Capital. Akhil, what more details do we have about this teenager who had allegedly rammed his car into the hut? Was he under the influence of alcohol?
DCP of the West region, Vichitraveer, has confirmed this, that the person was in an inebriated condition at that point in time when that incident took place. And if you see at around 2:45 a.m. early morning, what we have seen that this person was driving his vehicle at a very high speed, and he rammed his vehicle, the Swift car which he was driving. There were 4 other persons who were sitting, 3 at the back and 1 other person was sitting at the co-passenger seat. So at that point in time, he was in an inebriated condition when that incident took place. He rammed his car into the bicycle, where a person who was basically riding his bicycle from that location, and that person basically moved approximately 20 to 30 meter of distance, and then it basically got the vehicle got stuck into a hut, a jhuggi over there, in which 3 other people were sleeping at that point in time. So in this very incident, what we have seen that 2 persons have died and 3 others are critically injured, and 3 others have been hospitalized to a local hospital, a government hospital. And what we have been seeing that under the Motor Vehicle Act, an FIR has already been lodged in under different sections, and the person has been apprehended, who has been identified as Harsh. Back to you.
Right, Akhil, one more question before I let you go. What are you were talking about the sections that this teenager will be booked under. What are the probe details that we're getting so far? What is the action that is being mulled upon on this teenager? Because as like you said, as he was under the influence of alcohol already when he rammed his car into the bicycle and the hut.
Well, absolutely. If you see, his blood sample has already been taken and it has been sent for the forensic test. And apart from that, what we have seen that we went to the police station in Janakpuri, where his vehicle, that car has been seized by the Delhi police team, and the probe is on. I was speaking to the DCP of that region, Vichitraveer has confirmed this, that the legal proceedings are underway, and in this matter they are investigating that how basically he basically lost the control at that point in time, and what actual speed he was driving the car. So at this point in time, it's not confirmed that what was the actual speed of the car, because for that we'll have to wait the investigation report to come out.
Right, Akhil, thank you very much for getting us those details. We are tracking that story very closely, but for now we move on to the other stories that we're tracking on this edition. Now, Telangana Chief Minister Revanth Reddy has drawn a major political backlash. Now, this was after he demanded that Prime Minister Narendra Modi must explain to 140 crore Indians how many Rafale jets were shot down by the Pakistani army, a completely bizarre logic. Now, addressing the Jai Hind rally, the Telangana Chief Minister Revanth Reddy sought to know why Prime Minister Modi, who had called for an all-party meeting before going to war with Pakistan, did not do so before calling off the armed conflict with the neighbouring country. Now, listen in to this bizarre claim of the Telangana Chief Minister.
సికింద్రాబాద్ కంటోన్మెంట్ అంటే ఈ దేశ భద్రతకు గుండెకాయ. ఈ రోజు ఇక్కడున్న సైనికులే ఈ యుద్ధంలో పాల్గొని ఈ తెలంగాణలో ముఖ్యంగా ఇక్కడ తయారు చేసిన యుద్ధ విమానాలే ఈ రోజు యుద్ధంలో దేశం యొక్క గౌరవాన్ని నిలబెట్టినాయి. మోడీ గారు తెచ్చిన రాఫెల్ యుద్ధ విమానాలు మన పాకిస్తాన్ కూల్చింది. ఎన్ని కూల్చిందో రాఫెల్ గురించి చెప్పమంటే ఈ రోజు చర్చ లేదు. ఈ రోజు మన దేశం కాదని ఇతర దేశాల నుంచి రాఫెల్ యుద్ధ విమానాలను కొనుగోలు చేసిన మోడీ గారు, మీరు జవాబు చెప్పండి, మన పాకిస్తాన్తో జరిగిన యుద్ధంలో ఎన్ని రాఫెల్ యుద్ధ విమానాలు పాకిస్తాన్ నేలగూల్చిందో మీరు లెక్క చెప్పండి.
Now, the Bharatiya Janata Party lashed out at Revanth Reddy and the Congress for questioning the Indian Armed Forces. Taking a dig at the Telangana Chief Minister, the BJP advised him to stick to world photo ops instead of speaking on national security. Listen in.
मुझे तो दुख होता है कि राहुल गांधी, रेवंत रेड्डी और रमेश जी सभी पूछ रहे हैं बताओ कितने जहाज गिर गए हिंदुस्तान के. ये डे वन से पूछ रहे हैं बताओ कितने जहाज गिर गए हिंदुस्तान के. ये कोई सवाल है? आपको समझ नहीं है? भारतवर्ष ने, भारत की सेना ने 9 आतंकवादी अड्डों को ध्वस्त किया. सैटेलाइट इमेज दिखाया गया. बकायदा डीजीएमओ ने जब प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस किया तो तथ्य रखे गए, इमेजेस दिखाए गए. देन एंड नाउ, पहले कैसे था ये मरकज, अब क्या हुआ है, ये सारी तस्वीरें दिखाई गई.
Revanth Reddy has attacked the Sena Shakti. He says how many planes have been down, despite the fact that Operation Sindoor is going on, despite the fact that Shahbaz Sharif has accepted that what kind of damage was done to Pakistan by the Indian forces, despite the fact that all the claims of the Pakistani DG ISPR, their Air Force, have been debunked by Prime Minister doing live size fact check at Bikaner, at Adhampur base, at other places in Gujarat. Despite all of that, Congress continues to echo the Pakistan narrative.
And moving on to the last story that we're tracking in this edition of 6 Stories at 6, amid row over Kamal Hassan's Kannada is born out of Tamil Nadu remark, actor Kamal Hassan has said that he will apologize only if he feels that he is wrong. Now, Kamal Hassan's statement come as pro-Kannada groups threatened to boycott his film Thug Life and demanded an apology from him over his remark on Kannada language. Now, just to take you back to what the controversy was all about, now during a promotional event for his upcoming movie Thug Life in Chennai last week, the actor reportedly said Kannada is born out of Tamil. Now, the statement triggered public outrage. The Karnataka Film Chamber of Commerce already announced a ban on the release of Kamal Hassan's starrer Thug Life over the actor's controversial remark. Today, Kamal Hassan has refused to apologize. Let's listen into that statement.
And I believe in law and justice, and I believe always love will triumph. And my love for Karnataka is true. My love for Andhra is true. My love for Kerala is true. So nobody will suspect it except those with an agenda. Been threatened before. And if I am wrong, I will apologize. If I'm not, I won't. It's my lifestyle. Please don't tamper with it.
You've heard what he had to say, but now listen in to what was the remark, what was the statement by the actor that actually triggered the huge political language debate.
அந்த ஊரில் இருக்கும் என் குடும்பம் அதனால தான் அவர் இங்கே வந்திருக்காரு. அதனால தான் நான் பேச்சை ஆரம்பிக்கும் பொழுது நான் உயிரே உறவே தமிழே என்று ஆரம்பித்தேன். அதில் தமிழிலிருந்து பிறந்தது தான் உங்கள் பாஷையும். அதனால் நீங்களும் அதில் உட்படுவீர்கள்.
And yes, that's all that we could pack in this edition of 6 Stories at 6. We will be back tomorrow, same time. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next after the break is Live and Breaking.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल बोलो जुबान कैसी?
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Mahi sir, how much do you love your fans?
Honestly, I love my new fans. पुराने वाले बेकार में शोर करते।
सर फैंस हैं, शोर तो करेंगे ही ना।
नए वाले नहीं करते। And they listen to what I say. The new generation Orient BLDC fans, super silent performance with voice control.
Silly me, I thought.
Cricket fans.
I have seen what it takes to report from the front line. Accuracy, urgency, courage and responsibility. At Public School of Journalism, you will be trained for all that reality. It's not theory, it's live learning. Inside a working newsroom from day first. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most, RSJ is where you begin. Course begins on June 30th. Apply now.
We don't just get you the headlines, we report on them. We get information from the highest level of sources. We get you news from the men in uniform from those on the front. At Republic School of Journalism, you will learn how real reporting is done on the ground and in real time. The RSG Diploma course begins on June 30th. If you want to lead this story, start here.
I have seen what it takes to report from the front lines. Accuracy, courage, urgency and responsibility. At Republic School of Journalism, you will be trained for that reality. It is not theory. It is live learning from inside a working newsroom from day one. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most, Republic School of Journalism is where you begin. Course begins on the 30th of June. Apply now.
Hi, this is Chef Ranveer Brar. Guarantee you brilliance on behalf of IIHM.
Mahi sir, how much do you love your fans?
Honestly, I love my new fans. पुराने वाले बेकार में शोर करते
सर फैंस हैं शोर तो करेंगे ही ना
नए वाले नहीं करते and they listen to what I say. The new generation Orient BLDC fans. Super silent performance with voice control.
Silly me, I thought
Cricket fans.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
विमल में गुलिस्तान की ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की इस जुबान में खुद को ऐसा डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं ना? विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
I have seen it, what it takes to report from the front lines. Accuracy, urgency, courage, responsibilities. At Republic School of Journalism, you'll be trained for that reality. It's not theory, it's live learning inside a working newsroom from the day one. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most, RSJ is where you begin. Course begins on June 30th. Apply now.
I don't just report from courtrooms on verdicts, I decode them. From breaking news to complex legal verdicts, every word is backed by law. At the Republic School of Journalism, you will learn how to report on legal issues with accuracy and speed. The RSJ Diploma, starting on the 30th of June. Apply now.
I have seen what it takes to report from the front line. Accuracy, urgency, courage, and responsibility. At Public School of Journalism, you will be trained for all that reality. It's not theory, it's live learning inside a working newsroom from day first. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most, RSJ is where you begin. Course begins on June 30th. Apply now.
We don't just get you the headlines, we report on them. We get information from the highest level of sources. We get you news from the men in uniform, from those on the front.
GDP numbers beat estimates. GDP grows by 7.4% for March quarter. Bomb threats at Delhi's Udyog Bhavan. CISF at spot carrying out search operations. Chandigarh CMO receives bomb threat evacuation done. Security forces at the spot. Prime Minister Modi meets the family of Pahalgam victim Shubham Dwivedi in Kanpur.
अगर पाकिस्तान ने इस बार कोई नापाक हरकत की तो हो सकता है कि इस बार की ओपनिंग और किसी के द्वारा ना हो, हमारी नेवी के द्वारा हो.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh stern warning to Pakistan says now Pakistan will get a response from the Navy. Chief Engineer starts throwing cash from his window as vigilance officers arrive for a raid. A total of 2 crore rupees is recovered. And the news that's coming in after GDP numbers, there is another positive economic indicator for India. The fiscal deficit is on track. This is now set at the projected and stays at projected 4.8%. It's the big news that's coming in from the Finance Ministry. The provisional unaudited accounts of the Government of India for the financial year 2024-2025. The highlights have been given below. And it now says the India's fiscal deficit in financial year 25 is going to be at the projected 4.8%. I'm going to try and go across from my digital newsroom to my colleague Pranav. Pranav, this is positive news. Give us more details.
Yes, this is the second positive news coming for the day from the Finance Ministry. The data released right now says that the fiscal deficit for 2024-25 reached 100.5%. That's well within the admissible range, according to the data that has been released today. The government, if you remember, had set a target of 4.8% of GDP for the fiscal deficit in February, and it's well on track to achieve within the limits of 4% over the next few months.
So, Pranav, essentially this also means now the fiscal deficit being on track. Fantastic news for India. And this stays at the projected 4.8%. Also give us more details, because this also therefore shows that the Government of India is now also giving out more details about the total expenditure that has been incurred by them, the total revenue expenditure, the interest payments, all that has been now taken account of.
Yes, absolutely. Just to give you a picture of what the numbers have been, according to the CAG data, the fiscal deficit was 1.86 lakh crore, and the revenue deficit was 9.4% of the fiscal target of rupees 49,000 crore. These are the numbers that have been released by the government today. The total expenditure was 9.2% for the fiscal year target, and the total expenditure of the government stood at 4.66 lakh crore. That's the numbers that have been released with us.
All right. Thank you, Pranav, for giving us those details. It's fantastic news for India. Viewers, also now we're going to move on to the other top focus. After Hassan said that he won't apologize for his remarks on the Kannada language that has sparked a controversy in Karnataka, he has received a warning. Narayan Gaura, president of Kannada Rakshana Vedik, has now said the movie has hurt the sentiments of Kannadigas, and if the new movie is released in the state, they will burn down all the theatres.
ಅವನು ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಕೊಟ್ಟಂತ ದುಡ್ಡು ಅವನಿಗೆ
ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಾದರೆ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅವನು ವಾಪಸ್ಸು ಆ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಯಾವುದೇ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರನ್ನ ಎದುರಾಕೊಂಡು ನಾನು ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವ ಒಂದು ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನು ಆ ನಿರ್ಮಾಪಕರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಆ ನಟನಿಗೆ ಕಮಲಾಸನ್ಗೆ ಕಳಿಸುವಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಚಿಕೆದಾರರು ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು ಮಾಡಬೇಕೋ ಹೊರತು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮನವಿಗೆ ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಥಿಯೇಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಬೆಂಕಿ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವನು ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಕೊಟ್ಟಂಥ ದುಡ್ಡು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಾದರೆ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅವನು ವಾಪಸ್ಸು ಆ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಯಾವುದೇ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರನ್ನ ಎದುರಾಕೊಂಡು ನಾನು ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವ ಒಂದು ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನು ಆ ನಿರ್ಮಾಪಕರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಆ ನಟನಿಗೆ ಕಮಲಾಸನ್ಗೆ ಕಳಿಸುವಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಚಿಕೆದಾರರು ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು ಮಾಡಬೇಕೋ ಹೊರತು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮನವಿಗೆ ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಥಿಯೇಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಬೆಂಕಿ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ.
And viewers, we're also giving you breaking news amid the US-China trade war. US president has now claimed that China has totally violated its agreement with the United States. He said there was civil unrest in China and factories closed after tariffs were imposed there. Seeing the situation, he made a fast deal to China to save them, but now they have violated the agreement. The big words coming in from the president of the United States, Donald Trump, who now says that it's China that has violated the agreement with the US. And these are words that are coming in. I'm also going to try and say as Trump is blaming China for the agreement violation. Let me go across to Prathar joining us live on the story. And he says everyone was happy, but now the agreement has been violated. Let me go across to Akanksha joining us live on the story. Akanksha, once again we are seeing US-China ties that are being looked at in this manner. It's totally violated the agreement is what Donald Trump is saying. US-China tariff war has now escalated further.
Well, absolutely. US-China trade war has definitely escalated. Now, this comment that has come from Donald Trump, he has gone on to say that China has now violated the agreement. He said that, in fact, after these tariffs were announced by the United States, the factories in China closed down. There was civil unrest, and this is what Donald Trump has mentioned in the social media post, and that is why he made a deal with China. But now what he's saying is that the bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with us. So much for being a Mr. Nice Guy. This is a statement that has come from Donald Trump. Remember, this comes a day after his Treasury Secretary also said that the trade deal between US and China has been stalled. And a day after that, this is a big comment that has come from US President Donald Trump. He has said that China has violated the terms of the agreement. It remains to be seen what China has to say on this.
All right, thank you for giving us those details. The top focus will continue tracking. Moving on to the other big story, viewers. 3 villagers seriously injured in the IED blast in Chhattisgarh's Bijapur district. The blast occurred today morning between 8:30 to 9 a.m. when some of the villagers, residents of the Iraguva Para, were on their way to Bandepara for some family work. The explosives were hidden by Maoists. They stepped on the IED. It blew off and exploded, causing severe injuries to their legs and faces. Bharat is joining us live from Durgam. Bharat Durgam is joining us live from Bijapur. Bharat, earlier you gave us details about the injured. Give us details about how and where the IED blast was located, the police, and what sort of care is now being taken of these villagers who've been injured.
बिल्कुल, मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा बीजापुर जिले के भोपालपट्टनम ब्लॉक के दमपैया के रहने वाले लोग हैं। दमपैया से वो बंदेपारा की ओर निकले थे। ग्रामीण थे, सामान्य तौर पे जो आवाजाही होती है ग्रामीण में, वो उस इलाके पे कुछ पर्सनल कार्य से, व्यक्तिगत कार्य से उस इलाके पे जा रहे थे। उसी दरमियान माओवादियों के द्वारा वो जमीन पे ही आईडी लगा रखा था। उस पूरे इलाके की अगर बात की जाए, अति घोर नक्सल प्रभाव क्षेत्र माना जाता है। ऐसे में उस इलाके में जवानों की आमद होती है। जवान जो है वो एंटी नक्सल ऑपरेशन के लिए निकलते हैं, तो उनको नुकसान पहुंचाने के लिए उस पूरे इलाके पे प्रेशर आईडी लगाया गया था माओवादियों के द्वारा। लेकिन उसके जद में जो 3 ग्रामीण है वो आ जाते हैं और जख्मी हो जाते हैं। बुरी तरीके से उनका हाल है, बेहद चिंताजनक विषय है, जिसको देखते हुए जो भोपालपट्टनम के जो एसडीओपी है मयंक, उनके द्वारा व्यवस्था की गई और प्राथमिक तौर पे जो उपचार उनको दी जानी चाहिए थी, जिसके तर्ज पे भोपालपट्टनम स्वास्थ्य केंद्र में उनका इलाज जारी था, लेकिन स्थिति सामान्य नहीं होने की वजह से उनको भोपालपट्टनम से डिस्ट्रिक्ट हेडक्वार्टर जिला अस्पताल लाया गया है, जहां पे उनका बेहतर उपचार किया जाएगा। वहीं छत्तीसगढ़ के मुख्यमंत्री विष्णुदेव साय ने भी इसको ट्वीट करके ये कहा है कि माओवादियों का ये कायराना करतूत है, जिस तरीके से उन्होंने अंजाम देने की कोशिश की है। तो लगातार जो सवाल है वो उत्पन्न होते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। वहीं अगर बात की जाए छत्तीसगढ़ के बस्तर में, बस्तर कई वर्षों से नक्सलवाद का दंश झेल रहा है, जिसके तर्ज पे छत्तीसगढ़ में अगर बात की जाए, देश के जो गृह मंत्री है अमित शाह ने जो डेडलाइन तय किया है 31 मार्च 2026 तक माओवादियों का समाप्त अंत जो है तय किया जाएगा, जिसके तर्ज पे लगातार एंटी नक्सल ऑपरेशन चलाए जा रहे हैं। यह भी एक वजह माना जा रहा है, जो माओवादी है वो बैक फुट पे तो है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं फ्रंट पे आने के लिए आईईडी का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं। तो जरा सोचिएगा, इस आईईडी में पहली बार नहीं है, 3 ग्रामीण जो है इसके जद में आया, इससे पहले कई बार ऐसा हो चुका है, ग्रामीण जद में आ जाते हैं और बहुत लोगों की मौत हो जाती है। इससे पहले उसूर में, बीजापुर के ही उसूर में आईईडी के जद में आने से एक महिला की मौत हो गई है। उससे पहले अगर बात की जाए इंद्रावती माड़ में, उस इलाके पे आईईडी के जद में आने से जो महिला है वो घायल हो जाती है। आंकड़े की तर्ज की बात की जाए तो बहुत से आंकड़े बाहर निकल के आएंगे।
एब्सोल्युटली भरत, जैसे आप बता रहे हैं ये पहली बार नहीं और ये हुआ है। थैंक यू फॉर गिविंग अस दोस डिटेल्स। वी रिमेंबर विद द विजन ऑफ आवर होम मिनिस्टर हु सेड India is going to be Maoist free by the 30th of March next year. Viewers, moving on, Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has also visited INS Vikrant, India's first indigenously built aircraft carrier currently deployed in the Arabian Sea. The visit came weeks after the Indian Navy's strategic carrier battle group led by INS Vikrant played a decisive role during Operation Sindoor. He's posted a video on his visit. Take a look.
देश की समुद्री सीमाओं की सुरक्षा आपके मजबूत हाथों में है, तब तक भारत को कोई तिरछी निगाहों से नहीं देख सकता, ऐसा मेरा पक्का विश्वास है। मैं आपके समर्पण को नमन करने और आपके शौर्य को सराहने और आपके परिश्रम का अभिनंदन करने के लिए आया हूं, उसे सलाम करने के लिए आया हूं। मैं आप सभी को ऑपरेशन सिंदूर की सफलता पर तहे दिल बधाई देता हूं और अपने नेवल वॉरियर्स के साथ मिलकर मुझे बेहद खुशी हो रही है। जब मैं भारत की समुद्री शक्ति के गौरव आईएनएस विक्रांत पर खड़ा हूं तो सचमुच मेरी खुशी के साथ साथ गौरव और विश्वास का भाव, एक सेंस ऑफ प्राइड हमारे अंदर पैदा हुई है। भारत माता की जय। मैं भारतीय नौसेना के प्रत्येक अधिकारी, भारतीय नौसेना के प्रत्येक जवान और उससे जुड़े हुए हर सिविलियन को भी हृदय से बधाई देता हूं।
Operation Sindoor, it said anytime, anywhere, anyhow. Also, viewers, he promised revenge, he delivered devastation. Operation Sindoor wasn't just retaliation, it was a statement. Today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi roars from Bihar, sending a warning. India's fight against terror is relentless and her resolve is unshakable. From Pahalgam, we roar to Pakistan. The message clear. You strike us once, we'll hit back twice as hard.
On April 24th came revenge ki guarantee.
Today, from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth.
And today came the roar.
जिन लोगों ने पाकिस्तान में बैठकर हमारी बहनों का सिंदूर उजाड़ा था, हमारी सेना ने उनके ठिकानों को खंडहर में बदल दिया है.
Prime Minister Modi's Bihar Blitz was not just a rally, it was a thunderous message to India's enemies. Addressing the crowd, Prime Minister made it crystal clear, Operation Sindoor was only the beginning. India's fight against terror is far from over.
जिस पाकिस्तानी सेना की छत्र छाया में आतंकी खुद को सुरक्षित मानते थे, हमारी सेनाओं ने एक ही झटके में उनको भी घुटनों पर ला दिया.
This was Prime Minister's second fiery address in Bihar, coming days after the gruesome 22nd April Pahalgam terror attack that took 26 innocent lives in Jammu and Kashmir. In his first Bihar address, Prime Minister vowed retribution. And now he returned after delivering that very blow. From the same land, the Prime Minister reminded the nation, promise made, promise kept.
दुश्मन समझ लें, ये तो हमारे तर्कस का केवल एक ही तीर है. आतंकवाद के खिलाफ भारत की लड़ाई न रुकी है न थमी है. आतंक का फन अगर फिर उठेगा तो भारत उसे बिल से खींचकर कुचलने का काम करेगा.
The Prime Minister also paid a heartfelt tribute to BSF Sub-Inspector Mohammad Imtiaz, who laid down his life in the line of duty.
मातृभूमि के सेवा का पवित्र कर्तव्य निभाते हुए 10 मई को सीमा पर बीएसएफ सब इंस्पेक्टर इम्तियाज शहीद हो गए थे. मैं बिहार के इस वीर बेटे को आदरपूर्वक श्रद्धांजलि देता हूं.
Prime Minister did not hold back from declaring that India's armed forces broke the enemy's back in a single decisive stroke.
मैंने बिहार की धरती से देश को वादा किया था, वचन दिया था, आतंक के आकाओं के ठिकानों को मिट्टी में मिला दिया जाएगा. उन्हें कल्पना से भी बड़ी सजा होगी. आज जब मैं बिहार आया हूं तो अपने वचन पूरा करने के बाद आया हूं.
And the war cry did not end there. Prime Minister also vowed to wipe out red terror.
2014 से पहले देश में 125 से ज्यादा जिले नक्सल प्रभावित थे. अब सिर्फ 18 जिले नक्सल प्रभावित बचे हैं. वो दिन दूर नहीं जब माओवादी हिंसा का पूरी तरह से खात्मा हो जाएगा.
From Pahalgam to Pakistan, from promises to precision strikes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made it very clear, terror will be answered and India will decide when, where and how. With Operation Sindoor, the message has been delivered loud and clear, mess with India and pay the price.
Prime Minister Modi also met the family of Shubham Dwivedi, one of the 26 victims killed in the April 22 terror attack in Pahalgam at Chakeri Airport in Uttar Pradesh's Kanpur. Saurabh, Shubham's cousin, described it as a very emotional meeting. Meanwhile, let's listen to Shubham Dwivedi's family and what they said.
आज उनसे मुलाकात करके मुझे ये लगा कि एक जब घर का बड़ा नहीं होता है तो वो देश के मुखिया हैं हमारे, तो जब देश का मुखिया घर का बड़े जैसा आपके साथ जब खड़े होके आपके बगल में बैठ के आपके दुख को उतना ही फील कर रहा होता है, वही फीलिंग थी आज। वो उतने ही भावुक थे, वो उतने ही इमोशनल थे कि वो खुद कहते हैं घटना नहीं होनी चाहिए थी।
आप मिली उनसे, सबको इस बात में जिज्ञासा है, प्रधानमंत्री आपके सामने जब आते हैं क्या उनके हाव भाव थे, क्या उन्होंने पूछा आपसे, क्या बातचीत हुई?
उन्होंने हाथ जोड़ के पापा मम्मी को हाथ जोड़ के बुलाया, वो अपनी सीट छोड़ के उठ गए थे तुरंत ही। उसके बाद वो जब पापा मम्मी बैठ गए तब वो बैठे। ये आउट ऑफ मतलब एक प्रधानमंत्री हैं, वो ये नहीं करेंगे तो इससे भी कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ेगा, बट ये एक तरीका होता है ये दिखाने का कि हमें भी उतनी ही रिस्पेक्ट है आपकी, यही तरीका होता है। तो उन्होंने दिखाया और इसके बाद उन्होंने बोला कि हम बहुत दुखी हैं इस घटना से, और आपने जो खोया है उसका तो कुछ, इवन मम्मी पापा से बोला कि आपका दुख बहुत बड़ा है, उसका तो हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते, बस हम आपके साथ खड़े हैं, ये देश आपके साथ खड़ा है। जब ये आप लोगों को मीडिया को जब मैं ये बात बता रही थी, मैंने तब भी बोला था कि मुझे पता है कि वो इस चीज़ का बदला लेंगे, और आज उन्होंने ये करके हमसे मिल के हमें दिखा दिया कि हम खड़े हैं, हम आपका बदला लेके आए हैं और हम करेंगे ये।
Viewers, today's bulletin is also a powerful reminder of what our leaders and nation has done to ensure that justice is served in the Pahalgam terror attack. I now take you to this place of faith that faced fire. Union Home Minister Amit Shah today also reached Poonch's Singh Sabha Gurudwara, shelled by Pakistan on 8th of May. From offering prayers to meeting the victims, Shah's message was once again firm. India stands with its people united and will not tolerate attacks on civilians or our sacred sites and gurdwaras.
It was targeted, shelled and scarred. On May 8th, Pakistan launched a cowardly and indiscriminate attack, shelling civilian areas, religious sites and homes. This Gurdwara was among the structures hit. The sanctum was shaken.
This is a place, and how much this the shelling was, how intensified this shelling was. Sabar ji, ye
ये पड़ा हाँ ये पड़ा था। हम वहाँ रहते नीचे रहते हैं, हमारा घर नीचे है, बस यहाँ पड़ा गोला कर, यहाँ पड़ा पूरे अपनी जस्ट हो गई थी पूरे इलाके में।
And today, that very Gurdwara, once marked by destruction, welcomed the Union Home Minister with renewed hope. Amit Shah visited the site, bowed his head and saluted the spirit of people who refuse to be broken. He also visited areas worst hit by the Pakistani shelling in Jammu and Kashmir's Poonch, meeting victims, hearing their stories and standing in solidarity. From shattered walls to strength, this Gurdwara now tells the story of a community that stood firm. The Union Home Minister called out Pakistan's targeted attacks on religious institutions and also spoke about how Poonch has bore the brunt of Pak shell.
पूंछ में शायद आजादी के बाद पहली बार गोली मारी, मगर पूंछ के साथ साथ सभी जगह पे रिहायशी इलाकों पर, गुरुद्वारों पर, मंदिरों पर, मदरसों पर गोलीबारी करने का काम पाकिस्तान ने किया।
However, the Union Home Minister also added that the Indian Armed Forces gave a befitting response to Pakistan.
और जब पाकिस्तान ने हमारे रिहायशी इलाकों पर, नागरिकों पर, निहत्थे नागरिकों पर हमला किया, तब भारतीय सेना ने इसका भी सटीक जवाब दिया और उनके 9 हवाई अड्डों को, उनकी मारक क्षमता को क्षतिग्रस्त कर एक मजबूत जवाब दिया, जिसके कारण उनको समझौते के लिए आगे आना पड़ा।
Reaffirming India's position, he said Pakistan was warned that India will not tolerate attack on civilians or religious structures.
कि भारत के नागरिकों पर, भारत के निर्दोष व्यक्तियों पर, भारत की सेना पर और भारत की सीमा पर किसी भी प्रकार का अतिक्रमण भारत सहन नहीं करेगा। किसी भी प्रकार का आक्रमण भारत सहन नहीं करेगा। इसका सटीक और इससे भी बुलंद जवाब दिया जाएगा।
During his visit, the Union Home Minister also distributed appointment letters to the kin of the deceased. He also interacted with the BSF personnel at the unit headquarters in Karnataka, while also praising their role in Operation Sindoor. Shah visited religious sites damaged in the shelling and reviewed the security situation ahead of the Amarnath Yatra. But the message from Shah is clear. If Pakistan resorts to aggression by targeting religious sites, then India will go all out and unleash its full military might.
And we leave this bulletin with visuals from Sikkim. One person has died, several are missing in the accident on Chungthang Road. Rescue operation is currently underway. We're hoping that the landslides that have been triggered in the tragic accident is going to get better. We leave you with these visuals as the rescue operations are underway.
Tonight on This Is Exclusive, we tell you why all political parties are now cornering Muhammad Yunus. And not just that, Pakistan's global terrorism factory now spreads to Nigeria. An exclusive report coming up at 7 p.m.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुलें तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल, बोलो जुबान कैसी?
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
Mahi sir, how much do you love your fans?
Honestly, I love my new fans. पुराने वाले बेकार में शोर करते।
सर फैंस है, शोर तो करेंगे ही ना।
नए वाले नहीं करते। And they listen to what I say. The new generation Orient BLDC fans, super silent performance with voice control.
Silly me, I thought.
Cricket fans.
I have seen what it takes to report from the front lines. Accuracy, courage, urgency and responsibility. At Republic School of Journalism, you will be trained for that reality. It is not theory. It is live learning from inside a working newsroom from day one. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most, Republic School of Journalism is where you begin. Course begins on the 30th of June. Apply now.
I have seen it, what it takes to report from the front lines. Accuracy, urgency, courage, responsibilities. At Republic School of Journalism, you'll be trained for that reality. It's not theory, it's live learning inside a working newsroom from the day one. If you
Hi, this is Chef Ranveer Brar. Guarantee you brilliance on behalf of IIHM.
Mahi sir, how much do you love your fans?
Honestly, I love my new fans. पुराने वाले बेकार में शोर करते।
सर फैंस है, शोर तो करेंगे ही ना।
नए वाले नहीं करते। And they listen to what I say. The new generation Orient BLDC fans. Super silent performance with voice control.
Silly me, I thought
Cricket fans.
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का। MDH की देगी मिर्च। इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रूंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रूंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग शिप भी बन सकती है।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
We don't just tell you the headlines, we report on them. We get information from the highest level of sources. We get you news from the men in uniform, from those on the front. At Republic School of Journalism, you will learn how real reporting is done on the ground and in real time. The RSG Diploma course begins on June 30th. If you want to lead the story, start here. I have seen what it takes to report from the front line. Accuracy, urgency, courage and responsibility. At Public School of Journalism, you will be trained for all that reality. It's not theory, it's live learning. Inside a working newsroom from day first. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most,
from Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the Friday edition of This Is Exclusive with me, Shah. There's something really brewing in Bangladesh. Why suddenly is Mohammed Yunus finding himself completely cornered? Why all political parties in Bangladesh are now coming forward exposing Mohammed Yunus? And not just this, we also have how Pakistan's global terror footprint is only increasing. All this and much more on this edition of This Is Exclusive. But up first, let me take you through the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Pressure mounts on Bangladesh interim chief Mohammed Yunus as he stands cornered by all political parties. Call for elections by December. Imprisoned Trinamool Congress leader Anubrata Mondal in fresh controversy. Purported audio clip of him abusing police officer now goes viral. Prime Minister Modi meets the family of Pahalgam victim Shubham Dwivedi in Kanpur. GDP numbers beat estimates. GDP grows by 7.4% for March quarter. Ladies and gentlemen, amid burning streets and political paralysis, Mohammed Yunus now finds himself at the epicenter of Bangladesh's deepening crisis. Once hailed as a reformer, Yunus is today cornered, accused of political bias, losing control of the streets and provoking unease within the military ranks. With protests raging and demands for timely elections mounting, the clock is only ticking on his interim authority. In a nation on the edge, Yunus is fast running out of options. Ladies and gentlemen, no one would have ever believed that a political party like that of the BNP would actually question Mohammed Yunus. You heard me right. He has now been questioned by none other than the BNP, the party that was led by Khalida Zia. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we put the spotlight on why Mohammed Yunus is losing all support.
In the heart of Dhaka, protests have become part of daily life.
servants, teachers, students, and opposition groups have taken to the streets in a show of defiance, demanding electoral clarity and economic stability. What began as peaceful protests have in many cases turned violent. Clashes with police have been reported across major cities, particularly in Dhaka, raising serious concerns about the country's internal stability. And at the center of it all is Muhammad Yunus, who is facing pressure from all sides. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party has accused him of delaying elections under the guise of reform, while the Awami League, excluded from future elections by the interim government, has launched a nationwide protest campaign calling the interim setup undemocratic and accusing Yunus of suppressing political rivals. And now, adding fuel to the fire is the country's military. Army Chief General Waqaruzzaman has raised alarms over Yunus's conduct. And the warning is clear. Bangladesh's sovereignty is paramount, and if elections are not held by December, there will be a coup.
এক লাইনে যদি উত্তর দিতে চাই, অবশ্যই আমরা কম্প্রোমাইজ করিনি বর্ডার, এবং যতক্ষণ পর্যন্ত আমাদের গায়ে বিন্দুমাত্র শক্তি থাকবে, we'll never compromise that. This is our country and we'll protect it at any cost. এটা আপনার দেশ, এটা আমার দেশ। এই দেশের সার্বভৌমত্ব বিনষ্ট হতে পারে কোনো একটা সম্প্রদায়ের মাধ্যমে, এটা কখনোই হবে না।
A nervous Yunus has now initiated dialogues with various political parties to address concerns over the election timeline. Meetings with leaders from the BNP, Jamaat-e-Islami and other parties have been held. While Yunus came to power on the back citing democratic reforms, so far he has only met extremist leaders. He has banned Sheikh Hasina's party from contesting elections. He has rejuvenated ties with Pakistan and the ISI and made irresponsible statements on India's territorial sovereignty while sitting in Beijing.
Eastern part of India, called Seven Sisters. They are landlocked country, landlocked region of India. They have no way to reach out to the ocean. We are the only guardian of the ocean for all this region. So this opens up a huge possibility. So this could be an extension of the Chinese economy. Build things, produce things, market things, bring things to China, bring it out to the whole rest of the world. That's the production house for you. So that's the opportunity we should seize and we should implement, we should get it done.
Between street protests, political hostility, and growing military unease, the man who has enjoyed power while the law and order in his country was in shambles now stands completely isolated and cornered by all political parties. And the demand is one: hold elections by December. The political clock is ticking for Yunus. The BNP is breathing down his neck. The students who brought him to the chair are restless. The Jamaat is hitting the streets again, and it may be a matter of time before Dhaka revisits its August 2024 days. Hemmed in from all sides, Muhammad Yunus is walking the tightrope.
For the first time on Indian television, we have both the political parties, the BNP as well as Awami League. From the BNP, we have Mohammad Hilal, and from the Awami League, the former Education Minister Mohibul Hassan Chaudhry. Mr. Mohibul, I want to come to you first. This is an unusual situation when all the political parties are now coming together questioning the man who was largely seen as the reformist of Bangladesh. What's really happening? Are we really looking at a situation that perhaps the Awami League can actually participate in the upcoming elections, or you believe that this is a fixed match?
Thank you for connecting me today. We feel it's not just a fixed match, but it is a plot that Mr. Yunus had hatched for a long period of time. We welcome the BNP's position on electoral transition. We feel that the manner in which political discourse had taken place in the recent past, especially with regard to how political parties were conducting their political activities in the country whilst we were in government. There were issues there, of course. But of course, the manner in which BNP and other political parties, alongside Awami League activists in the country, are demanding democratic transition, we are wholeheartedly behind this. Mr. Yunus has no constitutional validity. The spokesperson from the BNP is also from my district, my constituency. He happens to be also a lawyer. And he also, I'm sure, knows that this government was considered as an interim government. It has no constitutional basis. When the provision for caretaker government was in the constitution during their time and in our time, which later was removed by our government, I don't want to go into the nitty-gritties of that. That caretaker government was under obligation to hold election within 90 days of their taking charge of their government. Now we do not have any provision for caretaker government. He is considered as an interim head. Now, interim position, the position of interim government doesn't exist in the constitution. On what basis he is clinging on to power, we don't know. There is no judgment from the court, although a paper has been circulated in social media and in some hand-picked media where they claim that some sort of presidential reference was made to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court agreed that this stopgap measure is required and there is no problem with the constitutional obligation. Till today, we haven't seen any document showing that a hearing was held in the Supreme Court. There is no evidence to prove that his government has any constitutional basis.
Mr. Mohibul, there is a very interesting turn of events really happening. I know they are your political rival, but the fact of the matter is this. You have the BNP, a leader of the standing committee, now questioning Muhammad Yunus. In fact, this is exactly what he said after Muhammad Yunus addressed a gathering in Tokyo, where he lashed out at the political parties. You have a senior leader of the BNP now saying that if at all a person is actually responsible for the current stalemate in Bangladesh, it is none other than Muhammad Yunus. So you have the BNP, the Jamaat, all are now questioning Muhammad Yunus's legitimacy to begin with. You have the army, while they have actually kept a brave front here by simply saying that they're all together, but the reality is this, that the Bangladeshi army is also not accepting Muhammad Yunus. I'm given to understand, Mohibul, that you've had the Bangladeshi army chief basically looking at constitutional legal options at this point in time, because the constitution of Bangladesh basically indicates that a new government should be formed within 90 days of the dissolution of the former government.
For the previous constitution, the caretaker government provision within the constitution, see, the army is not out of the constitutional infrastructure. They're part of our government, the constitutional framework of government. When the army chief took oath, part of his oath was to uphold the constitution. Constitution remains in action. Constitution has not been suspended.
Right.
But Yunus is trying to create a constitutional anarchy by letting his people talk about July proclamation, which they feel will sow the seed of a constitutional anarchy by claiming that a new constitution has to be drafted. What is the mandate for that demand? There is no mandate for that demand. Was it in the protest, when they were holding the protest, that they were going to change constitution, bring in a new constitution? They even talked about a second republic. Bangladesh became independent in 1971 from Pakistan. Now, that was the beginning of our republic. This time, these lot are claiming that this is a new kind of independence. What sort of independence have they sort of brought into the nation? They have brought in anarchy. They have brought in mobocracy. The courts cannot function properly. The civil service is not functioning properly. The civil servants are on strike. They are holding protests within the secretariat. The main treasury collecting agency of the government, National Board of Revenue, they are on strike because Mr. Yunus, because of his grudge against the tax authority, who went after him for tax evasion, have dismantled or at least planning to dismantle the tax authority. They are in strike. So army, all the, not just the army, the judiciary, the senior civil servants and the army generals, they do realize that this man is not leading the country, rather it's leading the country towards a democratic transition. Rather, he's a self-obsessed megalomaniac who is hell-bent on promoting himself in the global sphere. So he has gone to visit so many countries within this period just to promote his own persona and his legacy. So he has no interest of the country in his heart.
Well, thank you very much, Mohibul, for joining us and putting this into perspective, because it turns out that you have all the political parties now questioning the very legitimacy of this man who was propped up by none other than the US administration. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, the other big news that I'm going to give to you tonight on This Is Exclusive. The Nigerian military, in fact, has now arrested 4 Pakistani nationals over alleged links to terrorism, with officials claiming that they were involved in arms trafficking and training insurgent groups operating in the country's troubled northeast. In fact, the military has now raised concerns about the increasing involvement of a terrorist in Nigeria's insurgency landscape. Importantly, you've had a clear link of the 4 Pakistanis. In fact, this was a briefing that was done by the Nigerian army just about a few hours ago, and in which they've clearly mentioned about the fact that how Pakistanis are basically involved. And let me now tell you what's really happening on the ground. Now, it seems that Pakistan's global terror footprint is only increasing, ladies and gentlemen. 4 Pakistani nationals have been arrested. There is an increase in foreign mercenaries in Nigeria from Pakistan. And this is what the Nigerian army has come on record to basically indicate, that there are terrorist groups like the Islamic State, which is now being funded by these foreign mercenaries, as they say, but there at least 4 of them happen to be Pakistani nationals. Boko Haram's ties to obviously Al-Qaeda suspected, so that is another link. Pakistan's link is basically involved in arms trade in Nigeria. How exactly arms are basically moving to Nigeria? You have the ISI essentially working hand in gloves with several of the terrorist groups, in particularly in Africa and Eurasia. There's involvement of drones and IED links, attacks on military that has been amplified after the Pakistani involvement. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the clear footprint of the Pakistanis in Nigeria. In fact, we are given to understand it is spreading across Africa and Eurasia. Let me now just take you through some of the details basically emerging from the press conference that was done by the Nigerian army. And these are the following things that they have essentially said. Now, you've had the commander of the Nigerian army saying that the recent arrest of 4 Pakistani nationals whose initial investigation suggests that their deal in arms running with terrorists is instructive, number 1. Number 2, the second point that they say, there is an alarming trend, calls for an immediate coordinated response, including intensified intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance operations, as well as strong collaboration between Nigeria and neighboring nations to disrupt what they are now calling cross-border support networks. In a short while from now, we are also going to have the first ground report coming in from Nigeria. Obas is joining us on this broadcast. Obas, thank you very much for joining us on This Is Exclusive. This is a big development. Your army is saying that there is cross-border support coming in. 4 Pakistani nationals have been arrested. What more details can you share with our audience?
Thank you, my host. It's big news in Nigeria that 4 Pakistanis have been arrested by the military for arms trafficking and training terrorist groups. Since Boko Haram Islamic insurgency started in 2009, Nigeria has not witnessed or recorded the linkage of Pakistanis or any other foreign national to Islamic terrorism in Nigeria. So this is the first time that a foreign dimension is being introduced into the insurgency in Nigeria. Why it has not been easy for Arabs, Islamic states, to gain a foothold in Nigeria is because of the color of the skin. The Arabs, Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, they are easily recognized because of the color, the black color of Nigeria. But now, this introduces a fresh dimension to the old Boko Haram insurgency. And it's a very alarming dimension. It tells us that the defenses of Nigeria are easily penetrable by the foreign elements. And so it's good that the Nigerian military has arrested this. And so far, the military has not released their name. They are still keeping the names under wraps. Very soon, when they charge them to court officially, we will know their names.
Well, thank you very much for getting us that report on Indian television for the first time, a ground report coming in from Nigeria. And as my colleague has now been pointing out, that this is undoubtedly one of the biggest news emerging from Nigeria, the global footprint of the Pakistanis, the terror footprint, if I may say so. Ladies and gentlemen, he may be behind bars, but Onubroto Mondol's influence shows no signs of slowing down. The controversial Trinamool Congress strongman from Birbhum is now at the center of a fresh outrage, accused of threatening a senior police officer in a viral video clip. From cattle smuggling charges to open intimidation, Mondol's political clout appears undented, even in custody. And despite the mounting scandals, the Trinamool Congress continues to shield its loyal enforcer, a man some within the party still hail as their tiger. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, some in Bengal have actually taken the moral high ground. The reality is this: there is moral depravity by showing an audio clip of this very man only to garner some TRP.
Anubrata Mondal is no stranger to controversy or power. Once a representative of the TMC in Birbhum, the man is now embroiled in fresh controversy. In a now viral audio clip, a voice believed to be that of Mondal's is heard threatening Bolpur police station IC Liton Haldar. The language is abusive, the tone unmistakable. The kind of muscle flexing usually reserved for the streets, now echoing from a jail cell. Currently in prison for his alleged role in a multi-crore cattle smuggling scam, Anubrata Mondal seems far from powerless. Inspector Haldar's complaint has been officially registered. The charges: criminal intimidation, abuse of public servant, and more.
আমাদের আইসি বোলপুর লিটন উনি কমপ্লেন করেছেন কি দুদিন আগে ওনাকে একজন এখানে লোকাল নেতা ওভার টেলিফোন ভার্বাল অ্যাবিউজ করেছেন। রিগার্ডিং দ্যাট এই ঘটনার ক্ষেত্রে আমরা একটা এফআইআর স্পেসিফিক স্টার্ট করেছি অ্যান্ড তারপরে আমরা এই ঘটনাতে যত স্ট্রং লিগ্যাল অ্যাকশন নেওয়ার দরকার আছে সেটা আমরা নিচ্ছি। অ্যাজ পার ল আইন অনুযায়ী যা যা নেওয়ার অ্যাকশন নেওয়ার আছে আমরা সব অ্যাকশন নেব। দ্যাট ইজ ইট।
But for Mamata Banerjee's party, he is a loyalist too valuable to let go. The chief minister is all praises for the man.
আজকে কেষ্টকে কতদিন ধরে জেলে ভরে রেখে দিয়েছে, কিন্তু মানুষের মন থেকে ওকে দূর করতে পারেনি। আমি তো আস্তে আস্তে দেখছিলাম ম্যাক্সিমাম ইয়াং জেনারেশন ওর কথা বলছে, আমি শিখিয়ে দিইনি, আমি মানুষের রেসপন্সটা দেখছিলাম। ও কাজ করেছে, কাজ করতে জানে। যদি ওর বিরুদ্ধে কোনো অভিযোগ থাকে, সেম অভিযোগ আপনাদের নেতাদের নামে কোটা আছে, আজ পর্যন্ত একটা কেস আপনারা অ্যাকশন নিয়েছেন?
বিজেপিতে যায়নি তাই জেল খাটছে,
আজকে যদি বিজেপিতে যেত, যেভাবে অজিত পাওয়ার গেছে, যেভাবে শুভেন্দু অধিকারী গেছে, যেভাবে হিমন্ত বিশ্ব শর্মা গেছে, যেভাবে নারায়ণ রানে গেছে, ধোয়া তুলসী পাতা হয়ে যেত।
TMC leaders say he is a quote-unquote tiger.
ইয়েস, এখনো আমি মনে করি আমার মনে হয়, শোনো একটা জিনিস বলি, যে কোর্ট এর ওপর আমাদের বিশ্বাস রাখা উচিত। কোর্ট কখনো ইনজাস্টিস করবে না।
But be it vote bank, muscle power, or silent blessings from the top brass, Anubrata Mondal remains one of Bengal's most controversial figures.
Protest in Kolkata is the leader of opposition Shubhendu Adhikari, who is joining us on This Is Exclusive. Thank you very much, Mr. Adhikari, for joining us. Let me straight away begin by asking you, what do you really make of the action, or rather the inaction, against Anubrata Mondal, especially after what your colleague has now pointed out, the threat call?
It's a culture of Trinamool Congress. This party is anti-women. Regarding this type of language, Mr. Mondal humiliated and hurted every woman of the Bengal. We are seriously condemned it, and we want the local police and state police should take appropriate action as early as possible.
We have seen multiple statements coming in from the Trinamool Congress, particularly with regards to Anubrata Mondal, not to forget what the Chief Minister has to say, senior leader like Firhad Hakim, and now you have a clarification that has been put out by Anubrata Mondal. Is that really enough?
The gravity of the matter is very serious. Trinamool Congress try to make up the damages happen regarding this issue. It's a completely IOS. Entire Bengal wants this culprit and tainted leader spent more than 2 years in Tihar jail recently. He should go to the jail behind the bar.
How does the Bharatiya Janata Party really plan to take this forward? Given the fact that many would also ask you this question, what did you really do when this man was actually behind the bars? This man has gone scot-free now, and the fact that it hasn't really been challenged too.
Our party supporters, including the Mahila Morcha, already raised this voice against this Anubrata Mondal and Mamata Banerjee statement. Today, our Bolpur district president, Shamapada Mondal, went to the Bolpur police station to protest, to lodge FIR against him. And I, along with my MLA colleagues, will participate a huge rally in Bolpur town within few days.
The bigger question that essentially, well, I'm sorry we had to cut that short. We'll put out the entire clip, but that's all that we could pack in this edition of This Is Exclusive. On the other side, trending with my colleague Rakshita.
Powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
अब झोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने। विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुलें तो जी लग जाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल, बोलो जुबान कैसी?
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
We don't just get you the headlines, we report on them. We get information from the highest level of sources. We get you news from the men in uniform, from those on the front. At Republic School of Journalism, you will learn how real reporting is done on the ground and in real time. The RSG Diploma course begins on June 30th. If you want to lead the story, start here.
I have seen it, what it takes to report from the front lines. Accuracy, urgency, courage, responsibilities. At Republic School of Journalism, you'll be trained for that reality. It's not theory, it's live learning inside a working newsroom from the day one. If you want to report the truth,